Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. My name is Erin Kopek, and I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at Higher Level. Super excited to have Shad join us again and sharing his wealth of knowledge with us regarding motivating your teams. Shad is a consultant with Lucian. He presented with us late last year, and he's back again this month, and we're happy to have you, Shad. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be on here.
So before the call gets started, a couple of housekeeping things just to let everybody know kind of the lay of the land before we kick off. So the call will last about an hour. Everyone on the webinar is set up in listen-only mode. So, feel free to interact with the messaging function. I know Shad will have questions. Feel free to use messaging or chat to be able to communicate that back, and we'll make this as interactive as possible. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Shad, his experience and thought leadership that he brings to the table for today. So Shad joined the Lucian team in 2014, bringing him with extensive global business experience in an Ironman triathlete's discipline and tenacity. As a leading sales process consultant, he focuses on creating scalable, repeatable processes to ensure client success. Shad excels at helping clients define their goals, develop plans, and understand how to execute their training in real life. Shad's measured, methodological approach to sales process consulting has a calming effect on clients, allowing them to look past immediate problems in order to create step-by-step paths to follow towards their goals. When he's not working, Shad spends his time swimming, biking, and running, traveling internationally, and volunteering with his local church and YMCA. Shad, I pass it off to you and look forward to your key takeaways today.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Erin. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate Higher Level organizing this and having me on here again. Real quick, Erin, are you able to see the screen that says 3 ways to lead and motivate your people? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure. So everyone, as we go through, here's kind of how I run on this. Let me advance the next slide here. Oops, got a little ahead. Here's how I run. This is more of a workshop. So as Erin said, I'm going to ask questions, and I know you're participating through chat, so I'll make it as interactive as we can that we're using that. But I'm going to ask questions to hear. What I want to hear is real life stuff you're running into when it comes to motivating and leading your people in the way they want to be, and I'll pose some questions out there around it. So we're going to make it interactive. So I'm going to ask you to put things in chat. I can see the chat, so I'll answer back to those things. I may prompt, with a couple things to get you thinking, but I want to hear the real life situation. So I want to hear, hey, here's a real life example. You don't have to, have names, but real life, this is happening while I'm running into. So that way I can tailor this and some of the strategies and tools in here specifically to help you with how do you solve that in real life. Because my goal is that, no matter what, you walk away with a couple golden nuggets of things. You go, I can use this, put it into place when I go back and lead and motivate my team today, tomorrow, next week. And it's real life stuff, not just hey, that's good in theory or strategy. If you do have a question, please use in the chat or questions function. I will do the best I can to keep an eye on that. I may miss it, and Erin, hopefully if you see that I missed one, jump in there and let me know. But if you do have a question around something we're talking about, just ask, because if you're thinking it, other people probably are too. They might just be too bashful to ask, and it'll probably help everyone. At the end, we'll talk about what I call some lessons learned. What did you learn from today? And I'm going to ask also, how did you apply that, or how will you apply that? And how can you put it in? So I'll ask for some feedback there. And then finally, I'll share a screen where you can get my contact information, a way to contact me through a QR code that will take you to a web page. And this is the reason why people generally reach out after, is they go, I got some additional questions, things we didn't get to, or additional questions that came up from today's discussion. Or sometimes they say, I'd like to talk further with you about how you help organizations, people with this, to see if you might be able to help us. So I'm going to give you a couple different ways you can reach me. If you don't reach out, don't worry, I won't reach out to you. But if you do want to, for questions, you're going to have a couple different ways you can reach out to me afterwards. All right, so let's keep going from here. So I said we're going to be interactive. So here's what I want you to put in the chat. What are some of the challenges you're having with leading and motivating your people? So just take a minute and think, and I'll give you a couple of minutes here to put in the chat challenges, specific things you run into. People say things like, it seems like we have a conversation, but they don't take action. Like they agree to do things, they don't take action, right? So what challenges are you having with leading and motivating your people? I'll give you a couple minutes, put some stuff in the chat, and we'll go from there.
I don't see anything coming in so far.
I don't either, so let's wait here. See if we get anything comes across specific. If not, we'll talk about some of the common ones we hear.
Here we go. Not following through.
Not following through. Okay, gotcha. That's the one I hear quite a bit. All right, good.
Getting everyone on the same page.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you reading them off because I'm not seeing it in my chat on my end, so I appreciate that.
Yes, that's okay. I can do that. And then I'd like to add one too. Multiple personalities, strengths.
Gotcha. Multiple personalities. Okay. All right. Got it. Any other ones?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So let's keep rolling from here. All right. So let's talk about some challenges. So I had not following through on what we asked them to do, getting everybody on the same page, multiple personalities and strengths. All right. So let's talk a little bit about these and why do these happen. With that before we start working on some tools. So why did these challenges happen? Okay, well, not following through. So one of the things, to keep in mind here as we talk about that is we got to think about with not following through, is it that they were, first off, were they clear on what you were asking, right? Did you give them clarity and go, here's what I'm asking, here's why I'm asking, and here's what I expect in it. So one of the things I find is that a lot of leaders, they go, okay, I've got in my mind, here's what I want. And they just go, okay, hey, can you go do this for me? And the person goes, yeah, I'll do it because you're my boss and I've got to do it, or because I want to help. And that person either does it in the way they think is the best way to do it, or they might tend to get confused and go, well, what exactly do you want? Well, I don't want to look stupid because I didn't ask, or that I don't know. So they tend to stall on it because they don't have clarity. So I want you to keep this in mind on the not following through. The first piece is where there's clarity, there's energy. Where there is clarity, there is energy, right? So what does that mean? Well, that means if you think of, as you're giving instruction to your people, is are you clear on what you're looking for, what the goal is, what you expect and why? And that person's clear, right? And that goes to the second is getting everybody on the same page. So the first thing as a leader, you got to remember, or if you're managing people, is where there's clarity, there's energy. So you got to go, okay, was I clear in saying this is what specifically I'm looking for to be accomplished? This is why, and this is what my expectations are in terms of how expectation of these things have got to be part of it, and expectations of milestones, when to have it, what the outcome looks like. Right? That's number one, is have we been clear, set the good expectation for them. Number two, if they are not following through on things, having a conversation with them and determining why, right? And there's three pieces that could be pieces or reasons why behind that. Number one, it could be the once again going back to expectation. We call that behavior. Do they understand the behavior or expectation or the goal and why, right? Is there clarity there? Where there's clarity, there's energy. So that's the first thing I determine, is that clear with them? So in asking them to tell you is, okay, what was expected? What did you hear me say was expected as the goal? Why that? What did that mean exactly? What were the expectations I'd set with you? and determining that. The second is if it's clear, you've been clear on the expectation and the goals and those pieces, is to now look at the technique and go, are they struggling with how to execute it, right? Maybe it's something they haven't done before and they need some help and coaching from you or given tools in order to complete the project. Maybe it's something they've done before, but not in this particular instance, or they're running into some roadblocks, right? So is it a technique piece, right? So first, is it a behavior or expectation? Second is it a technique piece or a process piece or a tool piece that they're struggling with? Third is it a mindset piece? All right, so is it something where they go, okay, you know what, Aaron, I get it. I get that that's important, but I've got other things that are competing priorities. So sorry, yours just took a second seat to mine. Or I'll get to it when I get to it. They don't understand the importance of it, or they're having a mindset block on when to do it, how to do it, can they do it, etc. Right? It's a belief. They believe that, hey, I can't do that. That's not easy, or it's not as important. Like what you've asked is not as important as some of my other stuff. Is it a mindset piece? Right? So as a leader, one of the things you got to look at and go, okay, if my people aren't following through, is it one of these things? Is it a behavior and goals and expectations not clear? They don't understand. And here's the trap there, folks, I'm going to tell you is don't just do the thing that a lot of leaders do really good. Did you understand? And that person shakes their head, yes. Right? Here's the reason why it's a problem is sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they don't, but they don't want to tell you because they're distracted or because they don't want to look like they don't know or that they're not clear, right? They just have I don't want to appear like I don't understand, so therefore I just shake my head, yes. The key there is to have them in their own words repeat it back to you and go, okay, here's what you said you wanted me to get done, here's the expectation, here's when, here's what you expect to see. So you're on the same page. So having them go, okay, what did you hear me say as the expectations? Now, I know that seems like that takes extra time, but if you slow down earlier in that conversation, people will move faster later because they've got clarity, and clarity brings energy. All right, so going back, so behavior first, second, then start to look at process. If they go, yes, I get it, here's exactly what you asked for, it's clear, we're on the same page, the next piece is to go, okay, as you're working through this, what challenges are you running into? Then you're listening to, are they having challenges in how to do it and the process and the tools, problems they're running into? And so therefore you can start to ask questions and help uncover what the problem is and see if you can help them with how to do it with tools, etc. Then the third is, okay, if they've got the expectation and goal right, if they've got the process, figured out and tools and how to use them, then it's, well, what's, the third piece as you think through mindset work through is what's going through your head or what's keeping you from doing it. And that's when it becomes a mindset piece. All right. So the key is you got to, as a leader, one of the big challenges here is, as I mentioned, expectations, clear, that brings energy, but also is if your people are running into a problem, they're not following through, do you just go back and train and go, okay, you must not understood expectations or what I'm looking for, I'm gonna go back over that? Or do you ask questions to coach and uncover and find out what the real problem is so you can work on that? All right, so that's one thing to keep in mind. And I'm gonna ask a question of everyone here in terms of this and to put in the chat your response. What's the difference between training your people and coaching your people? So as we talk about this why for not following through, in your definition, what's the difference between training someone and coaching someone? If you could put in the chat, and then I'll give some definition around this so we get clear on when to apply these two situations. All right, difference between training your people and coaching your people. What's your definition of the difference of the two? Aaron, are we seeing anything
I
come
don't,
through yet?
I don't see anything coming through. I'll kind of chime in here. I think training to me is, tactical on what needs to happen, and coaching is more of the feedback and how it can happen, and kind of setting those expectations and the why.
Okay. You got almost. That's a good definition of training. If you think of training, it's actually the expectations of here's what we need you to do. Here's what the goal is. Here's the process. Here's how all that needs to happen. Right? You're training somebody who has no idea what to do in that situation. Like, I've never been here before. So you got to walk through the basics. Okay. Here's what the adult training model, folks, is here's what we need you to do. So I talked through what we need you to do. Here's why I need you to do that, or we need you to do this, why this is important. And then here's how to do it. And I talk you through how, and then I actually show you how. And then the completion of that loop of training is you now talk me through what we need to do. You now talk me through why we need to do it. And then you talk me through how and show me how. So I tell you why, and then I show you, and then you tell me why, you show me back. And that's how you complete the loop of training, right? To make sure they understand the basics, what needs to happen, the basic process flow. Coaching is more of a fine, nuanced, and fine pieces of it. So they know the basics. Now they're struggling with, well, how do I apply it in this situation? Right? This situation seems a little bit different from the situation or what we went through in the training. How does it apply here when these things that wasn't part of our training come up? Or it's a mindset block. It's I get the training and how it applies, but I just don't believe I can do it. I should do it. I'm okay to do it, or it's a priority. So coaching, where training is more the telling, showing, and confirming back, coaching is more the asking questions, uncovering what's the real problem. And then instead of just giving them the answer, you ask questions to help lead them to the answer, where they go, okay, now I got clarity what I need to do to fix this. And then you hold them accountable to by when you're going to get that done, right? So if you think training is more of a telling and showing and confirming back, coaching is more of a asking questions, uncovering, getting to the real problem. And then instead of you going, okay, go do this, or I'll take over and I'll do it for you, you go, okay, what do you need to do here to take care of this? Getting them, and sometimes you got to prompt them or give them some ideas, but getting them to go, this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And then going, okay, by when will we confirm that? So it's helping them to uncover. It's the thing is, I always think back to the biblical phrase. It's you can teach a man to fish, or I'm sorry, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Teaching a man, or giving a man a fish is kind of the training. Like, here's how to do it, or like what you're looking for and how. But teaching him how to do it consistently in different situations is the coaching piece, right? And it makes him self-sufficient. Okay. All right, so we're gonna keep going from here. Somebody mentioned getting everybody on the same page. So if you look at the not following through, there's a lot of the same things that apply there. Are we clear on behaviors and goals and expectation and why and what's expected and by when? Are we, have we given them the tools and the training and the coaching they need and the process they need to do it? But also with getting everybody on the same page is, do we understand how this affects them and impacts them? And I'm actually going to jump a little bit ahead on this to talk about a couple things that are fixes here. All right, just give me a second here to jump ahead. Do we understand that people work hardest for the pool in their backyard, not the one in yours? All right, so if you want to get everybody on the same page, first as a leader, you got to be clear going, this is the direction we're going in, right? This is for this particular project, you and company, this is our mission and our vision and specifically the goals and what that looks like. So you got to be clear yourself, because if you're not, they're not going to be. But also you got to understand is, okay, just because I'm motivated by this particular goal and how it's going to impact me and the company because I'm a leader here, your people aren't always motivated and impacted by the same things, right? So if you think of this, people work hardest for the pool in their backyard, not the one yours. As a leader, you got to start to have a conversation with them and go, well, what's important to them? What's their motivations, their personal goals, their motivations, things that drive them, the reason they come to work for us every day. And if they save money, even the question to ask is, well, what do you do with the money? because a lot of times that's the real motivation, what they're doing with it, and why they're there and what's important to them, and then figure out how with this goal do I get this aligned to some of their personal goals. So they go, if I help achieve this goal within the company, this gets me more what I want. All right, I'm gonna take it from a very basic, from a sales perspective, because I work a lot with teams on their sales teams. One of the things I was having a conversation with a client yesterday, and they have a new sales guy part-time working for them. And leader is like, I need some help having the conversation with the folks about, about their sales goals. And so the first question, I was me and the salesperson and the owner of the company who acts as a sales manager. And I said, well, the first question to the salesperson, I said, what's your personal income goal for this year, for the rest of this year? And he said, this amount. And I went, okay, why that amount? And he said, well, that gives me and my wife and our kids the lifestyle we want. I go, what does that mean when you say lifestyle? Because we're able to do these things, some vacation, pay off some stuff, have these kind of experiences, etc. I said, perfect. Now I got that and I understand what's important to you for you and your family and what that number means and why. Then I talked to the owner. I said, okay, Mr. Owner, here's what I need you to do is I need the two of you to sit down. I need you to work the numbers backwards from his commission to how much he would need to sell this year in order to hit that number, which is the goal number of income he needs or wants in order to have the lifestyle he wants, right? That was connecting the company goal, the sales goal we wanted to get to, back to that person's personal goal to drive their motivation, because that's the pull in his backyard. All right, so if you want to get everybody on the same page, part of it's clarity of that and making sure they got the right tools, like we talked about earlier, but also from a mindset of motivation, you got to understand what's their personal motivations that play into it, and then how can, by achieving this goal, how can that help them get more of what they want? Because ultimately that's what they're there for, and that's as humans, that's how we are. It's not that we're selfish, it's just that we tend to think in terms of everything of how does this affect me, or how does, if you're being a leader or leader in your company, you've ever gone through change management, what's the first question a lot of people ask? How will this impact my job? How will this impact me? Right? That's just us as humans. That's how we're wired, right? So all you got to do is start to figure out, well, what's important to them and how can we relate this goal, getting them on the same page so it impacts them in the way that they want or to get more of what they want, right? So that's piece of getting people on the same page, right? So the question a lot of people ask is, well, how do I have those conversations with folks on that? Well, the first thing is having a direct conversation with your people and understanding what are their personal goals. What is it that's personally important and why? What motivates them? Right? If you go back to that example I gave of that business owner and his new sales guy yesterday, I wanted, and that was from a sales perspective. I wanted to hear, well, what income was he looking to make in the year, but why? Why was that income personally important? Because he threw out this number, and I went, okay, well, why that number? Right? And he was very specific in his number. And if somebody's giving you very specific, it's because they've thought through and gone, if I make this or this happens, this other stuff happens that's important to me, my family, or whoever it is. Right? So the first conversation, if you haven't had with your people, is to sit down, what are their personal goals and why? Why are those important to them? What specifically are they? What will happen if they achieve some of those goals? What will happen, right? If this guy makes a certain income, what happens for him and his family? And here's the thing, if it's first time you're doing it within your company, you may have to give people time to think about it. Because if you look at somebody and only I've read statistics out there, about 5 to 7% of the world's population have clear personal goals that are written and they put a timeline to and thought about and actually have a way that they're tracking to it. A lot of people may have them in their head, but they've never really expressed and put it down on paper, right? Or talked through it or given specifics around it. So you may have to have the conversation first time and go, okay, I want to give you some time to think about this, but we're going to reconvene at this time and I want to hear what they are and why, and here's why. It's because I want to help give you more of what you want, what's important, and make sure the company goals were connecting to what you want, right? So that's one, the conversation and understanding in that what motivates them and why. Why do they come to work for you every day? Why are these things important to them? Another way you can do it is through vision boards, which is having them create, think of their goals and then through pictures, take like a piece of poster board or whatever it is and put, cut out, print cut out pictures and post on there that give visual representations of their goals, right? Well, why is that important? Well, a couple of things is it gets them in an area, gets them put everything kind of together that they're looking at. Also, we know that the vast majority of the population out there is visual in nature. So therefore, by seeing it, a lot of people are able to interpret it more. And then if they put it down on paper, maybe a couple things written down, like what the goal is that the picture represents, and they talk with you or other people about it, now they feel a sense of responsibility and accountability because they've shared it with someone, right? But the key is, in however you do it or use of these questions is, are you having the conversations and you understand this with your people? And then you're able to connect back company goals to that so that they go, I get if I go out there and I help us hit these company goals that you guys set in my particular part, or I exceed it, it gets me more of what I want, what's important to me, right? So that's the second piece on that, right? And I'm going to open up at this point. Any questions so far? If so, type in either the questions section or chat. If you got any questions so far, as we talk through not following through and getting on the same page. All right, and we're going to just go back here for a second. All right, Aaron, anything coming through yet?
No, I don't see any questions. I'll let you know if something pops up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about, and Aaron, we're going to get into yours about multiple personalities and strengths here in just a minute. But let's talk about, one of the key things, one of the three pillars of leading our people, motivating the right way. A lot of us have probably heard out there the golden rule: treat others like you want to be treated. I recently heard this somewhere, and I've adopted this, and and said this is now my new rule: is the platinum rule. Lead and motivate people in the way they want, not in the way you want. All right, if you think of this, and Aaron, this goes a little bit to multiple personalities and strengths, is just because this is the way you want to be led or communicated with or motivated does not mean it's the way some other people on your team want to be led or motivated. Now, people who are similar to you in personality type and the way they like to be led and motivated will be like, heck yeah, that way that you do it, or like how you get motivated and how you lead people, like I'm 100% on that. That's just because they go, that's what feels comfortable for me. That's what I like, right? If you think of a different personality types, and I'm going to refer to DISC since you're familiar with that from our conversations and meetings. But if you think of the DISC personality model, which is just a four-part definition of everybody's personality, a person who is dominant in their personality type, which means they're very direct, to the point, very self-goal oriented, very high level, just get to it. They don't need a lot of detail. They make decisions quick, they move. Sometimes people go, they're kind of like a bull in a china shop. They're very aggressive. They make it about themselves, right? But that type of personality type, how they want to be led and motivated is that you tell them high level what you need or want, especially if you make it their idea or how it helps them to their goal. And then you get the heck out of the way and let them go do it, right? And as long as they're hitting the goal and we're hitting the big picture, they don't care about the details and all that. And as long as it's helping them get what they want, they go, I'm motivated and driven. If you're that type of dominant personality type, you got people on your team like that, hey, the way you lead and motivate is going to be good for them. And I'll also asking, are there other ways you can help them? But if you're not that type, let's say you're on DISC profile, you're very, they call it influencer. So the life of the party, somebody that connects and builds relationships with everyone, somebody that loves, kind of shows their emotions on their sleeves, ups and downs, likes to have fun in everything they do. Details and structure is not so great. We like the fuzzy edges, not the very defined and distinct in detail, and they don't like being too serious. Well, if you're a very serious and goals and it's got to be this way type leader, well, that person on your team is going to struggle because they go, well, why is it always so serious? Why can't we have some fun? Do we need the rules to be so rigid, right? As long as we're hitting the big picture, does it really matter all the details? Do we really have to take this long and go through this? Can I do a bunch of different things versus just this one thing I got to focus on? Well, as a leader, if you're going, no, it's got to be this way, those people are going to fight you. Versus if you went, all right, let's have some fun. And like, I got to make sure when I talk with this person, I connect with them and hear what's going on in their life. And they're going to ask me stuff about that and spend some time. That's okay, right? And also is, yeah, we'll have some rules, but they're more guidelines that you got to stay within versus hard and fast. right? And you got to also a high influencer type personality. You got to give them space to be creative, right? Like go, here's the outcome, but let's be creative how you get there, and let's have a good time, right? So that's the, you know, if you think of the dominant, I explained then the influencer, and then there's a steady relator who is very steady, very, hey, you know, step by step and take our time and not in a rush and don't want to, you know, don't want to have conflict or, you know, rock the boat. But they're very thorough, and once they get clear on what they need to do, they will be your workhorse, right? And they'll get stuff done, and they're concerned with high quality. They just take a little time to get started, and sometimes they have a hard time making decisions. Well, that's what we call the steady relator. Well, if you're that dominant type, again, you're going to have a hard time with things. You're like, just get going, right? Or why are we taking our time? Or what are you so worried about making this decision? It's making a decision move. But they're going to get concerned, or they're going to get worried, or they're going to go, it's not helping, you know, to make the decision, feeling the pressure from you. And finally, on the DISC profile, if there's a high critical thinker, the detail folks, very serious, very detailed, very process oriented. Well, they're going to struggle if you're that high dominant. It's very high level, to the point, and quick. They're going to struggle because they go, I need some details. I need to, have we thought through how we're going to do this and exactly what we're going to do, and make sure we got some good rules in place. Well, you're going to struggle if you're that dominant leader, because you're going to go, why are they needing all the detail instead of just going? Like, I don't have time to explain all this, right? Or why process? No, we'll figure it out. Like, let's just make a decision and go. And that person's going to struggle, right? So this is part of that lead and motivate your people in the way they want. Is, do you not only know their personal motivations and goals and what's important and connect it back, but do you understand that there's different personality types out there and what motivates them and demotivates them? And are you adapting to that when you're talking with them, right? If any of us on here have kids and have a couple of different kids, you know that how your parenting principles and goals are the same for the whole family and all the kids, right? I want to make sure my kids are parented in this way, and they learn these lessons and these things as they grow and turn into these types of people. But how you deliver those conversations and those moments with each child is going to be different, right? If you got a kid who's, you can just look at them and go, hey, stop doing that, and they get it, right? Or you need to buckle up, and then they take action. You can be that direct with them. But if you have a child who, if you were to say that, they were to recoil, you're going to have to soften it up and go, hey, can we talk about what the problem is here and why and what we need to do different? You know, we got you. It's okay, but let's you know, this is a big impact, and let's make sure we're changing. You know, we're working on doing that differently. Same conversation about correcting that problem, but delivered in two different ways, because both children are very different in their personality and what works and what doesn't. So what does that mean to this here and different personality types is, you got to think your employees and your people are like, you know, big kids, right? Same rule, same goals, same structure, same culture we want to deliver, but we have to deliver in a different way because it's different people out there. All right, so coming back to this, so lead and motivate your people in the way you want, not in the way they want, not the way you want. If you're not sure on that, you got to sit down and start to understand, well, what is their personality type and what does motivate and drive them? And even ask the question is, how is it best for me to lead you, right? Like if I've got to give critical feedback, what's the best way to deliver that, where you go, I get it, and you go, I know what I need to do from here, right? If we have to coach through something, what's the best way to do that? Right? I have to learn that with a lot of my clients too, because some of my clients are going to be once direct, very, hey, here's what we got, you know, here's what you need to get done. They're like, got it. Other ones, we got to talk through it, or we got to set up a process and steps to do it, right? So same thing with your people. All right, Aaron, did that answer some of yours on the multiple personalities and strengths?
Yes, it does. Very helpful.
Okay, good. All right, so let's go. Another key rule here is, and we already touched on this and going back to it, is the second point of the 3 ways to lead and motivate people is, come back to this, people work hard for the pool in their backyard, not the one in yours. So what's important to your people? What is their personal drivers and goals? All right, here's what I'm gonna actually put in the chat is, what are some of the personal goals of your people, right? Like some of the things you've heard them say is, this is what's personally my goal or motivation. What are some of those things that you've heard from your people that you lead and manage? What are some of their personal goals and motivations? Put that in the chat and let's get some examples here.
All right, Shad, looks like we have a couple things coming in here. Somebody said make more income.
Okay, make more income, got it. Other ones?
Nothing yet.
Okay. All right, we'll give just a second here. So
We have
the
lifestyle balance.
lifestyle balance, okay, got it. All right. All right, so let's talk about these. You know, we said one was make more income and lifestyle balance. So good that your folks are you're starting to ask and talk about, but as a leader, and this goes back to as we were talking about the behavior, technique, attitude pieces earlier, you got to ask questions. This is where coaching comes in, and you got to ask questions to go, okay, when we say make more income, specifically what amount or what does that mean and why? How will that help you? Right? Because if somebody said make more income and they made $1 more this year than last year, they technically made more income, right? Goal is achieved. But you got to go, okay, is that really the goal you're going after? And they go, no, well, it's about making this amount of income. Okay, why that? What does that do for you, for your family? Why is that important to you? Right? That's the real pool. So it's about asking those next level questions. Lifestyle balance, right? That means a lot of different things to a lot of folks. So you've got to be asking, go, well, what do you mean by lifestyle balance? Give me some specific examples of that. Because I look at lifestyle balance, and for me, it's getting up at between 4 and 5 in the morning, having a good first hour where I do some mindset stuff, get a good hour workout, clean up, go to work, work from 7:30 to about 5:30. Go home if I'm in the office like I am today. Go home, have dinner with my wife, chat with her, hang out with the doggos, in bed by 9. That's a good solid day. That's lifestyle balance for me. And taking weekends and off. Somebody else may go, oh, that's too many working hours. Or someone else may go, oh, I can work longer than that. The key is you don't know. You can't assume that because they say lifestyle balance, that it means what you think it means. So the key there, once again, is clarity brings energy, is helping ask the questions and get clarity so you have energy to go, okay, now I know what's important. How do I help them get more of that? And now they go, I'm clear on what's important. And how can the company goals or me achieving company goals help me get more of that, right? Maybe somebody with lifestyle balance going, I want more vacation time. You can set up some incentives for them and go, look, if you hit these goals, then we can give you extra time off, right? Make more income, right? If it's somebody in a sales role, you go, okay, if this is the income you want to go after, let's work it back to what you need to do sales wise. And there might be some incentives if you hit or exceed those goals that it gives you some kickers or bonuses. Well, the key is you got to know exactly what that means to start with. All right. And then the final piece I just kind of hinted on, or the third piece, third key here is align your people's goals, behaviors, and incentives to give them more of what they really want. So once you go, I've got clarity of the pool in their backyard. Okay, how do we align the company goals and their goals, the actions? So working that into what daily behaviors, weekly behaviors, monthly behaviors, and I call them key performance indicators. So leading indicators, do they need to hit in order to get more of that goal, and incentives to give them what they really want. There are 3 types of motivation in everybody. And usually one of the 3 or maybe 2 are what motivates people the most at that moment. So the first type is extrinsic, people being driven by money and dollars. Now, it isn't always just the money and dollars, just the accumulation of it. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, it was, and it's why we had movies like Wall Street and, Wolf of Wall Street and Glengarry Glen Ross and, and those. It's because keeping up with the Joneses back in the late 70s, early 80s, even early 90s was important. And having a lot of money and being able to show it was important to a lot of people. So a lot of people were extrinsically motivated back then. Well, that trend started to shift in the early to mid 90s, where people now said, I'm more intrinsically motivated. That's the second type. Extrinsic the first, intrinsic the second. So intrinsic being, I'm more motivated by being the best I can in my skill sets and reaching my personal goals. Yes, I need a certain amount of money to live the lifestyle I want, but as long as that's there, I get more incentivized, more motivated, more excited if I'm getting coached and developed and given more tools to help me get to my personal goals, professional goals faster. So that was intrinsic motivation. A lot more people started to show that in the early to mid 90s. And then as we moved into the late 90s, early 2000s, even more people started to show altruistic motivation. And that's, I'm most motivated by whatever I'm doing in my day-to-day and my professional, how it helps more people, right? So that's a big reason why I came to work at Lucian. Yes, there's financial and extrinsic pieces that go with it that are really great. Intrinsically, I've been working and developing a lot of my skill sets in coaching and leading teams and managing some folks here and selling and getting better and being the best I can. But I am most motivated by the altruistic, which is how do I, through this, help more people out there through not only just sales pieces, but management, leadership, things that translate into day-to-day life, right? Well, the key here is you got to go, okay, which of those three motivates them? Why are the personal goals and why? And how do we give them more? So for example, if you have a lot of extrinsically motivated people, they just like getting the money or they go, I need the money for these things that are important to pay or to take care of. Giving them incentives where they can make more money or bonuses is important, and that will motivate them. If you have a lot of intrinsic people, yes, you've got to make sure money is satisfying their needs, they can live a certain life, but it is more important that you're giving them external and internal training and coaching tools, spending time with them, coaching and developing them so they can be best to reach their goals. If you have a lot of altruistic people, and Aaron knows this from working with a recruiting staffing company, a lot of recruiters are altruistic. They go, I came to do this to help people and to help them get a better lifestyle through new jobs. You got to think of, well, how can you help them give more and help more people through what they're doing? Whether it's giving them tools that make life easier, do things faster so they can help more people more effective, but that will really drive them, right? But you got to understand that and then make sure everything we're doing is aligned to give them more of that, right? So if we look back, the three key rules to understand are the platinum rule: lead and motivate people in the way that they want, not in the way that you want. Second, people work hard for the pool in their backyard, not the one in yours. So what's important to them? Do we have clarity of that and why? And then third is, have we aligned their goals, their company goals, their personal goals, behaviors, incentives to give them more of what they really want to help them reach those personal goals, right? Those are the three keys and the three ways to lead and motivate your people in the way they want, right? So what questions do we have as we've covered this? I'll open up to questions here.
We don't have anything coming in, Chad, but I do have a question, or just kind of a question for the group in general. Here at Higher Level, we have developed several cadences over the years on, annual performance reviews, and we do monthly strategic sessions. Are there any best practices on, or things that you have seen your clients do as far as, cadence on meetings and timelines and time frame on meetings that you've seen successful with helping with some of this stuff?
I think as far as cadence, when they're new, you want to have the weekly or even daily touch when people are new. So just brought them in the organization, they're learning, higher levels culture. They're learning, okay, here's what I need to do. You got to hopefully have a good, strong onboarding plan, laying out like not only what they need to do, be successful, but here's the tools, who to go to, how things work, our culture, et cetera. One of the things we do at Lucian is, in the first few months, like 2-3 months, we're having a daily touch with that person, whether it's in person or virtual, in today's hybrid world. And the daily touch is things just like, okay, what's the plan for the day? What's some of the challenges that you see ahead today that you need some help on? What's some of the things you're excited about? And we would even have a daily touch at the end of the day of, okay, so what did you accomplish from your plan? What did you miss on why? What do we need to do different? What was some of the stuff you screwed up? Like, because that told us if they're screwing stuff up that they were actually learning stuff, because one of the ways you learn is to break some stuff and screw up and learn from it. So what did you screw up, so we could coach and debrief and help them figure out what to do differently. And what was a victory for today? And what's your game plan for tomorrow? And weekly, we have what we call weekly informational meetings, or WIMs, where we sit down formally with the person for a half an hour, and we go through not only behaviors for the week, tied to their goals and incentives, but also going through pipeline of opportunities if they're a salesperson, or key projects, and then opening up a formal time for them to ask questions. So early on, the first few months, that's really important. Ongoing, then it becomes more of a, what works for that person. You're going to find, like, a lot of people after they've been there go, I don't need to necessarily meet every week, but it'll be every couple weeks. Or like here at Lucian, is once you hit a certain point, it's like once a month we have a meeting and have that similar whim. And it's less about the behaviors within the role, because I know what I'm doing and I've been here and I do it consistently. That's how I built my success. And it's more about working on technique and mindset pieces. How do we do things faster and more efficient? Mindset, getting, the next level, talking more about what the next level looks like. All right. So those are things from a cadence standpoint that can help. But over time, it's also having the conversation with people just of what works best for you. Some people will be like, I want to meet weekly because I like this, or every 2 weeks or once a month. But as you go along, it becomes less is more, and it's more focused on higher level things to help them get to the next level. All right. Any other questions?
Great. Thank you. I do not see any other questions.
Okay. Let's keep moving here. So the key is, what are you going to do about it? Right. So here's what I want you to do. I know we've covered the 3, kind of rules or ways to lead and motivate your people in the way they want. We talked through some of the challenges that were brought up. We covered quite a bit here, and we covered some specific situations. In the chat, I want you to put, this is something I learned today, and here's what I'm going to do about it. So just, here's what I learned, one thing I learned, here's what I'm going to do about it. And then I'll share with you how best to reach out if you have further questions.
We have a couple items coming in. So Sandy says, learn to break down what lifestyle meaning means to me.
Yeah. So everybody's got definitions. Sandy, what I see a lot of leaders do is they go, oh, this is what it means to me, so that must be what they're talking about. Not necessarily. Right? It goes back to, people are driven by the pool in their backyard, not the one in yours. Good. Any others, Erin?
Another one is motivate your team in the way they want to be motivated. Find out what their personal goals are tied to your company goals and why that matters to them.
And here's one thing we didn't talk about to add into that, is that once you've got clarity of that and you connect that to the company goals, people will trust you even more, because they trust they're going to say, hey, I don't know what it is, Erin, but like, I just feel like you're really concerned about me as a person versus just hitting the company goals. Right? It's building that relationship strong with your people, and they start to build trust because they go, yeah, we got to be effective here and productive and hit our company goals, but you also care about who I am as an individual and what's important to me, right? And that goes back to what I said earlier, is that's just how we're driven as humans, as we think about what's important to me and how does this impact me. Well, just knowing that that's how we work, use that to figure out, what is important, and it'll build trust and relationships with folks. Right? Any others?
We have another one that just came in. Learning that I need to lead in the way that employees need, not just the way I want. Seems the big takeaway today.
Yeah. It's like the example I gave about, if you have kids, is, what works for one kid in a conversation, or giving critical feedback, or getting them to do something, does not work for another. Right? Same principle, same thing we're trying to accomplish, but we got to deliver it in a different way that works for each of those. Like, I look back, my sister, my mom could be, very direct with her, and they're going to push back and fight each other a little bit. But my sister would get it, right? But that was like their pattern that worked, right? They would have their push back and fight. Firstborn, kid. Now for me, my mom knew she just needed to tell me once and give me a little detail, and then I would take it from there, right? But my mom knew if she came at me and kind of like in that fighting mode, like she had with my sister, that I would just recoil, and that did nothing to help. Same thing. My mom went, this is the goals and principles I want you to, live your life by and learning these lessons. But she delivered it in different ways for the two of us. And she basically delivered it based on here's what's going to be best for that person. So, all right, Erin, any others?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right. So I mentioned at the beginning that I'm going to give you a couple ways you can reach me if you have additional questions or if you'd like to talk further about how we help folks with this. So you'll see a QR code on your screen. You can literally just hold your phone up and it should recognize the QR code through your camera and pick up. That will take you to a web page, Lucian web page, where you can put in your contact info and they'll send an email to me and say, hey, this person would like to be contacted from this webinar. Now here's all you're committing to if you say contact me is just for us to set up a time for a 15 to 20 minute phone conversation or Zoom conversation, answer any questions or talk a little bit about your particular situation, how you'd like help. That's it. Doesn't commit you anything from there. But this is a QR code. I'll leave up here for about 30 seconds. You can grasp and I'll take you to a web page where you can sign up to have me contact you.
All right, great. I appreciate that.
All right. The other way is this is my contact info. That's my email there. You can also reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure there's not very many Shad Tiddlers with the uniqueness of my name. So if you look me up on LinkedIn, especially with Lucian, my company name, you should be able to find me and I'll accept your LinkedIn request. Or you can reach out if you have questions by email and I'll be happy to set up a time to talk further with you.
I highly recommend everybody reach out to Shad, connect with him. Higher Level worked with him over the last year, and we had great value and some great takeaways. So if you walked away today, which I'm sure you did, with some good nuggets, Shad's full of those.
All right. Well, thank you, Erin. I appreciate you having me on and being part of this and helping the folks on here today.
Yes, thank you. Before we head out, I do want to give everyone the opportunity. We host these online webinars, our High Notes program every month. I would love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at hello@higherlevel.com. If there are certain topics you want to see, certain things you want to see us cover, I would love to hear more about that. Also, we are gearing up to host another one in March. This one will be kind of a behind-the-scenes look at software solutions that we offer our clients with training programs, of keeping track of certificates, the things that really can help engage team members and track training progress. But we're going to do like a behind the scenes kind of tour demo of what that can look like. And if you're interested, you can reach me directly and I will give you a quick link to register for that before we start promoting that. So again, reach me directly at hello@higherlevel.com. Would love to hear feedback, any ideas, and thank you for your participation today. Everybody have a great day.
Great.
Thank you.